Welcome back. We're gonna jump right into parting your hair to apply lightener at home. To begin, we lay a comb on the top of the head. As we find our way to the back, we can see where the comb lifts off of the hair. Where it meets, that's where our first section is going to begin. Part that hair back and part the rest forward. Once I find that meeting point, I will take my comb right behind the ear and have it meet. Secure each section with a clip. So now that we've parted the front of the hair from the back of the hair, we're going to divide the back section in half down the middle. Now we're going to re-section the front. We're gonna pull down the sections we made, and we're gonna use our comb again, and we're gonna lay it on the side of the head. Where the comb meets and doesn't come up off the head, we know that's where the head rounds. That'll determine where our middle section starts. I'm going to separate and drop the side panels. So in the back, we created a middle parting, so there should be 2 sections. In the front, we created 3 different partings. So the more sections you're breaking your hair down into, the more control and the better roadmap you're gonna have when applying lightener. So the first step I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work in sections. I want you to actually work on each section separately, but keeping it pinned will give you a roadmap on where to go next and keep the previously lightened hair out of your way. So for right now, we're gonna work on just this front section right here. So I'm going to unclip the section I'm going to work on. Using my foiling comb, I'm going to section out horizontally an 1/8 inch of a section. If you're not really clear on what an 1/8 inch looks like, I always like to say if you can read a newspaper through it, it's thin enough. I'm going to repin the rest of the hair just to get it out of the way. So a little trick I like to use when foiling is I'll take my foiling comb and I'll use it to bend the foil over my comb. This is gonna give me tension for when I place it directly underneath the hair. I'm gonna take my lightener, so we're actually gonna leave out a 1/2 inch of a section from the mid-lengths down. We only want to apply lightener in those mid-length sections because it's going to take more energy and time to lift them. So we're gonna come back in at the end and I'll show you how we tap those. So from here, I'm folding that foil directly up, and using my foiling comb, I can bend those sides in. Now we're going to move up the same section with another subsection, 1/8 of an inch horizontally pulled down directly on top of our last section. I'm going to pin that hair up out of the way and repeat the same process. Grabbing that foil, leaving it a 1/2 inch off the scalp, and only tap those mid-lengths. Rolling the hair back and forth, making sure that everything's getting covered. We want maximum saturation. We continue this process all the way through the section. Now, a lot of you at home might be thinking, why do I need to go in these tiny, thin sections? It's that incubation, it's the concentration of product. If you use foil, it's going to incubate the hair, which is gonna speed up the natural heat and the process. That way you're getting that maximum lift in one shot, but because we used a low developer, it'll grow slowly. So we're still getting that maximum lift, but we're doing it in a safe way. And if you ever have any compromised ends, like maybe you didn't get a trim recently, you could leave those out during this process. So now that we've gone all the way up through our section and foiled everything, we're gonna go back to our first foil and check to see what the color pigment is where we place the lightener. So when checking that first foil, we would want it to be a pale orange. And now I'm ready to go back and paint the base of the hair. And you don't want to squeeze the foils, but it's okay to use a clip just to get them out of the way. So beginning with that new foil, all I have to do is pull down. I can see where my line of demarcation is, where I added my lightener. I'm going to lift my first foil, apply the base on both sides. And with every foil, we're just going to slide to expose the base, applying to top and bottom. The reason why we wait to paint the base of the hair is because it will process much quicker than the mid-lengths. Because it's so close to the scalp, it's going to emit more heat. Therefore, if we've reached a pale orange in our mid-lengths, by the time I'm done finishing adding to the base, it'll all process at the same time. And as we move through each foil applying to the base, you want to keep the saturation heavy but controlled. That way you know all hair on the base is receiving the lightener, but you're also not getting it in your eyes or any areas besides your scalp. So I know this can seem overwhelming, but remember, that's why we're only doing one section at a time. We're gonna focus on one of our partings, process, and then clip it back up and then move on. This is why we're not tackling everything at once, which is what's gonna make it easier for you to do at home. So now we've completed the entire section. If you remember, we began by applying to the mid-lengths through the ends, letting those process to about a pale orange. Then we went back in and applied on both sides of each foil the base because we knew the base would process quicker than the mid-length, so now they should all meet up and reach a pale yellow together. If you want to add a little more heat and ensure moisture at that base, I recommend putting a processing cap on. This way we're going to use the scalp's natural heat and lightly add that moisture back in to keep everything incubated. So once you finish processing to your desired level, it's time to rinse. You're going to rinse with lukewarm to cool water and shampoo with a sulfate-free shampoo. After shampooing, a great DIY tip I love is to use a conditioning mask. Place it on top of the section we just processed and pin that back up and move on to your next section. That way you're getting a nice conditioning treatment on the hair you just lightened, and we're also moving on to our next section. So I know this process seems like a lot, but feel free to re-watch these videos. And also, it might take a couple tries to get it just right. But I think by having the knowledge, I have a lot of faith in you that you can do this at home. Thank you for watching DIY University by Sally Beauty. Be sure to like and subscribe and check out some more videos.